What's going on, everybody? It's Barry here, talking some multi-step equations for you. We have negative 13 is equal to 5 times the quantity 1 plus 4m minus 2m. So a lot going on in this problem. We're going to have to do a lot of math, so let's go ahead and get to it. We've talked about two-step equations, distributive property, combining like terms, and the order in which we achieve those things. We want to make sure that we always do the distributive property first. So that kind of cleans things up for us. We get that multiplication out of the way. So let's go ahead and let's start off by doing the distributive property here, because I see those parentheses and I see the number 5, and there's nothing in between the number 5 and the parentheses here. There's no plus sign or minus sign there. It's just 5 and then a parenthesis. So I'm going to distribute. I'm only going to distribute to the things inside the parentheses. This negative 2m, not in the parentheses. Not going to worry about it right now. Just worried about distribution. So I have 5 times 1. When I do distribution, make sure we understand we're doing multiplication, and 5 times 4m would give me 5 times 4 is 20. M comes for the ride. And every single thing that's left in the problem is just going to drop down, including that negative 2m, not a part of distribution. So let's go ahead. We have negative 13 is equal to 5 plus 20m minus 2m. And in that step right there, I only did the distributive property. So I'm going to make a quick note of that for myself. Hopefully you continue to make those notes down for yourself there. Now I have this, and we should notice that I have 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, inside, or excuse me, on the right side of this equation, negative 13 all by itself on the left side. So I have to combine like terms before proceeding. Remember, I do combining like terms after distribution. Here, my like terms are the terms that have the same variable. So we have, in this case, the 20m and the minus 2m. Those are like terms here on the right side of the equation. Now remember, I'm not crossing over this equal sign. I'm not trying to take something to the left side here. I'm just working on things on the right side, the 20m and the minus 2m. If that's the case, I'm going to do exactly what it is that the problem is telling me to do. I'm going to take a positive 20m. I'm going to go minus 2m with that. 20m minus 2m would be 18m. Again, the rest of the problem drops down. I'm not really worried about the negative 13 in that step. I'm not worried about the 5 in that step. The 18 was positive, so I guess I should write that down also. And in that step, I combined like terms. So again, I'm going to abbreviate that CLT, combining like terms. Now I'm at a spot where it kind of sort of looks like the two-step equations we've dealt with in the past, where on one side I have a constant and a variable. On the other side I have just a constant. So I want to isolate the variable. That term with the variable is 18m. It's positive 18m. So the other one I'm going to move away. This one's crossing over. This one's going to the left side of the equation. I'm going to move it away from that term. So I'm going to do the inverse operation. Right now it's a positive 5, so I got to subtract 5 to take it to the other side. 5 minus 5 is 0. That's great, because on the right side, that would give us our 18m. The term with the variable is all by itself now. Negative 13 minus 5, that's 13 negatives. 5 more negatives. That would make a total of 18 negatives. And we'll wrap up the problem here, but I suppose I should make note that I just did the subtraction property of equality. We'll wrap it up. We have 18 right next to the variable m. That would mean that right now it says 18 times m. We want to get the m all by itself, so we got to do the inverse operation of multiplication of 18, which means we would have to divide by 18. Divide by 18. 18 divided by 18 is the number 1. Remember, when we do division property of equality, we want to get that number 1 positive. We'll just write the letter m down, though. And then on the other side, we have negative 18 divided by 18. That's negative 1, and that's our final answer. Negative 1 is equal to m, or m is equal to negative 1. We did the division property of equality to wrap things up. But just remember, we started off with the distributive property first, then combining like terms, and then we got into our two-step equation in order to solve for the variable at the very end of the problem.